Okay, so we're going to cover chromatic versus diatonic, which sound like big words that could be very confusing, but are worth knowing once you get into the world of stringed instruments, especially when we're talking about things in the Dulcimer family. Most dulcimers are considered diatonic instruments, and that's because diatonic means in one key. So in the key of D, for example, when you're dealing with this particular instrument, this is a mahogany top seagull model stick dulcimer, the Merlin, what they call it. So all the frets put you in one key, in this case the key of D. Now, the beautiful thing about that means that you, if you're new to an instrument or just enjoy playing this fine instrument, you don't have to worry about wrong notes for the most part. Everything you play is going to be in tune or sonorous with itself. Pleasant sounding. Dulcimer actually means pleasant sounding, loosely speaking. Whereas if you are getting into a ukulele, a banjo, a guitar, a mandolin, then you're talking about a chromatic instrument, which means every step of a scale. So just to walk you through that real quick, the guitar is chromatic. So thus making it a wonderful instrument because it can play in any key, since we have so many strings to work with, but it also makes it a lot more complex to learn. A lot more fun, a lot more complex, a lot more shapes, a lot more notes to deal with. Not bad, just if you're learning a new instrument or learning an instrument for the first time, if you're learning a new instrument or learning an instrument for the first time, that makes it more complex. Now, going back to the idea of diatonic for a minute, I wanted to bring up a different type of dulcimer. This is a stick dulcimer made by Wandering Minstrel out of Omaha, East Nashville Instrument Company. I'll show you one of ours in a second. That is also going to be a similar model. Strumstick, Bob McNally's company out of New Jersey, they make a version of this. And most people are going to use a model like this. Terry McCafferty out of Texas used to make these. He is currently not making them anymore. So, anyway, the thing about this that I wanted to bring up is it's also diatonic. Except that note. This is a note that in music theory terms is a flat 7, because there's the octave, which is 8, there's the 7, and then a flat 7. Just go with me on that, right? You don't need to know that. But in the world of dulcimers, where this comes from, instead of a mountain dulcimer, in the world of dulcimers, I think it was 20 or 30 years ago, people started including this fret so that they could have another note to work with that isn't in the key. It is intentionally out of the key, but it gives you more options as you're learning to play and as you're trying to do new chords, as you're trying to do a more complex scale, you have that option. It is known as the 6.5 fret in the world of dulcimers. Again, the flat 7 note in the world of music theory. So, wanted to bring that up for you as you're thinking about the world of dulcimers and stick dulcimers. So this is a stick dulcimer made by East Nashville Instrument Company, which is something I'm a part of. And I wanted to bring this one up because this is actually a chromatic instrument. And we've just done that as a way to bridge the gap. So there are also mountain dulcimers that are chromatic. And before I forget it, this one's got a spruce top, purple heart back, and is made out of a walnut across the neck. But that is to say that if you wanted to get a little bit more complex with your playing, whether you're stepping up from a traditional dulcimer fretted stick dulcimer or diatonic again, Dulcimer, diatonic. If you wanted to step up to a newer level of complexity or more notes to work with or something like that, then this would be an option for you. So you can get a minor in any key, which is kind of fun, right? Now, the other thing to keep in mind that I think is really fun about this type of model is that if you are either a guitar player already or someone who is looking to get into guitar and you've come from the world of dulcimer playing, you could retune this so that it is tuned like a guitar's strings, whether it's the top 3 strings or the middle 3 strings or something like that, and then you would be, this one's not tuned that way, but then you would be able to work out different shapes, which doesn't sound like a D chord, but this would be a D chord shape on a guitar. You could start learning that way. So anyway, this is chromatic fretted, and this is diatonically fretted, plus the 6.5 fret. And I just wanted to walk you through that because, again, like the other video about the basics of what the components of a stick dulcimer are, I wanted to make sure that you had some of the basic vocab when you're talking to your friends about their instruments.